There are moments in history that come like a whisper in the night, and yet their echoes shake the foundations of the world. Tonight, I speak to you about one such moment, a moment when the course of global history shifted not through the roar of war or the chaos of revolution, but through a single, resolute phone call made in the stillness of the night. It was Prime Minister Narendra Modi's late-night call, and it changed the world order forever. History often teaches us that it is not always lengthy campaigns or massive movements that bring about the most profound changes, but sometimes a single moment, a brief, seemingly small decision can alter the course of the world in ways that no one could have predicted. This concept reminds us that the forces shaping our global reality are often distilled into pivotal instances, those rare but powerful junctures where the actions of one person or one conversation echo through time and space, rippling across continents and generations. The late-night call made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a perfect illustration of this phenomenon, where a moment of clarity, courage, and conviction reshape the world order forever. In the complex web of international relations, decisions are often delayed by layers of bureaucracy, cautious calculations, and political posturing. Yet, history has proven time and again that decisive action, when taken swiftly and with purpose, has the power to disrupt established norms and create new possibilities. The significance of Modi's late-night call lies not just in the communication itself, but in the timing and intent behind it. At a time when the global landscape was rife with uncertainty, this single act became a beacon of new direction. It was a signal that India was ready to take a definitive stand, ready to engage as a mature, confident actor on the world stage. What makes a single moment so powerful is its ability to serve as a catalyst. Much like a single spark can ignite a vast forest, a well-timed decision can trigger a cascade of events that reshape alliances, influence economic strategies, and redefine political ideologies. Modi's call was more than a simple conversation. It was the ignition of a new era. It signaled the birth of fresh alliances and strategic partnerships, realigning the global chessboard in a way that reflected contemporary realities rather than outdated post-war frameworks. The ramifications extended beyond diplomacy. They influenced trade, technology, defense, and cultural exchange, thereby setting the stage for a truly multipolar world. History is filled with such moments. Consider the famous midnight decisions during times of war, the unexpected treaties signed during late-night negotiations, or the sudden shifts in policy brought on by urgent phone calls between leaders. Each instance carries the weight of immediacy and vision, requiring leaders to act with both courage and foresight. These moments are seldom publicized in detail, as much of their power lies in their quiet execution, away from the glare of cameras and headlines. Yet their impact is unmistakable and often irreversible. The concept also serves as a powerful reminder about the nature of leadership and responsibility. It challenges the idea that history is only shaped by grand speeches, lengthy campaigns, or mass movements. Instead, it suggests that leadership is often about recognizing the right moment and acting decisively within it. It calls for courage to embrace uncertainty and the ability to envision a future that others may not yet see. Modi's call was a manifestation of this kind of leadership, an embodiment of the belief that a single action, when aligned with purpose and conviction, can chart a new course. This idea inspires hope. In a world frequently overwhelmed by complexity and seemingly insurmountable challenges, it reminds us that change is possible. It tells us that even when the odds are stacked against progress, the right decision made at the right time can unlock new pathways. It invites every individual, every nation, and every leader to recognize the moments in their own lives where they might make a difference. Because history is not just shaped by impersonal forces, but by human decisions, by moments of choice that ripple far beyond their immediate context. The lesson of that late-night call extends far beyond the boundaries of international politics. It teaches us that history's course is not predetermined, but malleable, shaped by moments of decisive action. It underscores the power of singular decisions to break through inertia and alter trajectories, reminding us that every era Every generation and every individual holds within them the potential to reshape the world. Modi's call was not just a diplomatic maneuver, it was a powerful testament to the enduring truth that sometimes all it takes is a single moment to change everything. India's journey to global leadership is one of remarkable transformation, a story that reflects both its ancient heritage and its modern aspirations. For decades, India was seen primarily as a regional player with vast potential but limited influence on the world stage. However, the changing geopolitical landscape, combined with India's internal reforms and growing confidence, has propelled it to a position where it is no longer just an emerging economy, but a pivotal force shaping the future of global affairs. This shift did not happen overnight. It is the result of sustained efforts in diplomacy, economic development, and strategic thinking. India has leveraged its unique strengths, its democratic values, demographic dividend, technological advancements, and cultural depth to carve out a role that transcends traditional power dynamics. The late night call by Prime Minister Modi symbolizes this new phase of leadership where India asserts itself not through coercion or force, but through vision, partnership, and mutual respect. In stepping into this role, India embraces a multipolar world where power is distributed among several key players rather than dominated by one or two superpowers. This approach challenges the old world order that often centered on Western hegemony, offering instead a more inclusive, balanced, and diverse global system. India's leadership is rooted in its commitment to sovereignty, economic growth, and global cooperation, emphasizing shared progress over unilateral dominance. One of the defining features of India's leadership is its ability to bridge divides. It serves as a connector between the developed and developing worlds, between East and West, and between tradition and modernity. India's inclusive vision calls for partnerships that respect each nation's identity while working together to solve global challenges like climate change, security threats, and economic inequality. This diplomatic approach fosters trust and cooperation, creating alliances that are flexible yet resilient. Economically, India's rise as a global leader is equally significant. It is one of the fastest growing major economies with a dynamic market that attracts investment and innovation. India's emphasis on technology, infrastructure, and digital transformation has positioned it as a hub for cutting-edge development. Its leadership in sectors like information technology, pharmaceuticals, and renewable energy not only drives its own growth but contributes to global progress. The late night call can be seen as a signal to the world that India is ready to lead economic partnerships that are equitable and forward-looking. Strategically, India's leadership reflects a nuanced understanding of global security. Rather than pursuing aggressive militarism, India advocates for stability through dialogue, alliances, and strategic autonomy. Its active participation in forums like the Quad and its growing defense cooperation with diverse partners underline its role as a security provider in the Indo-Pacific and beyond. This responsible stance helps maintain peace and order in a region that is vital for global commerce and stability. Culturally, India's leadership draws strength from its rich history and pluralistic society. It champions the values of democracy, tolerance, and human dignity, which resonate with many nations seeking alternatives to authoritarian models. India's cultural diplomacy, through initiatives like yoga diplomacy, educational exchanges, and media outreach, strengthens its soft power. This cultural influence enhances its leadership by building people-to-people connections and fostering mutual understanding. The rise of India as a global leader also inspires other developing nations. It demonstrates that growth and influence are achievable through perseverance, innovation, and principled leadership. India's success story offers a model for balancing rapid modernization with cultural preservation, economic ambition with social equity, and national pride with global responsibility. India's entry into global leadership is not without challenges. Issues such as poverty, infrastructure gaps, and geopolitical tensions remain. Yet, what distinguishes India is its resilience and willingness to confront these challenges head-on while engaging constructively with the world. The late night call made by Prime Minister Modi is emblematic of this spirit, a bold declaration that India is ready to take its rightful place at the table of global decision makers. India's leadership today is defined by a blend of confidence and humility, ambition and pragmatism. It is a leadership that recognizes the complexity of the modern world and embraces collaboration over confrontation. It is a leadership that respects history while innovating for the future. As India steps into this global role, it not only changes the dynamics of international relations, but also redefines what leadership means in the 21st century. In an era dominated by grandstanding, constant media attention, and the cacophony of political theatrics, the power of quiet conviction often goes unnoticed. Yet, history repeatedly shows us that the most profound changes and the most effective leadership often come not from loud declarations or public posturing, but from steady, deliberate, and resolute action behind the scenes. The late night call made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a testament to this truth, a reminder that true leadership is often about calm determination rather than dramatic spectacle. Loud politics, with its constant demands for attention and immediate reactions, tends to focus on short-term gains and emotional appeal. It thrives on noise, controversy, and division. In contrast, quiet conviction is grounded in long-term vision and unwavering belief. It is the quality that enables leaders to make tough decisions, to navigate complexities without succumbing to pressure, and to stay true to principles even when recognition is delayed or uncertain. Quiet conviction is often invisible to the public eye. It involves hours of careful deliberation, confidential dialogues, and strategic planning away from the spotlight. This kind of leadership understands that the most significant outcomes are rarely achieved through haste or spectacle, but through patience and persistence. Modi's late night call exemplifies this approach, a deliberate act made not for public applause, but because it was necessary and right for the nation and the world. Such leadership requires immense courage. In a world where public opinion can be fickle and social media amplifies every misstep, standing firm in quiet conviction demands resilience. It means making decisions that may be unpopular in the moment but serve a greater good in the long run. This kind of leadership often goes unheralded in the media, yet it is the foundation upon which lasting change is built. Quiet conviction also fosters trust. When leaders consistently act with integrity and without the need for constant validation, they earn the confidence of their people and their peers. Trust is not built on loud promises, but on demonstrated commitment and results. Modi's call, though unseen by many, resonated across diplomatic circles because it represented a genuine and thoughtful step toward reshaping global partnerships. It was a move born from conviction, not convenience. Quiet conviction aligns with the idea that leadership is a responsibility rather than a platform for personal glory. It emphasizes service over spectacle. Leaders who embody this quality understand that their role is to serve the nation and the world, not to seek fame or dominance. This humility allows for more inclusive and collaborative governance, creating space for diverse voices and sustainable solutions. In contrast to the fleeting nature of loud politics, quiet conviction has a lasting impact. Decisions made with careful thought and steady resolve are more likely to withstand the tests of time and scrutiny. They lay the groundwork for stability and progress, even in turbulent times. Modi's late night call did not just address an immediate crisis or opportunity. It signaled a strategic pivot that would influence international relations for years to come. This principle applies not only to political leadership, but to all forms of leadership. Whether in business, community, or personal life, the ability to act with quiet conviction, to make decisions based on values and vision rather than noise and pressure, is what separates true leaders from mere loud voices. It requires discipline, self-awareness, and a deep sense of purpose. In a world increasingly distracted by sensationalism, the story of Modi's late night call is a powerful reminder that meaningful change often happens in silence. It calls on us to appreciate the leaders who work tirelessly behind the scenes, who make sacrifices without fanfare, and who lead with the strength of their convictions rather than the volume of their voices. The choice between loud politics and quiet conviction is a choice about the kind of leadership and the kind of future we want. The quiet conviction that shaped Modi's pivotal call reminds us that enduring leadership is about integrity, patience, and unwavering dedication to the greater good. It teaches us that sometimes the most powerful voices are those spoken in the quiet of the night, changing the world not through noise, but through resolve. The world order that has defined global relations for much of the last century is undergoing a profound transformation. The structures, alliances, and power dynamics that once seemed immutable are now being challenged and reshaped in ways that few could have predicted. This old world order, largely shaped by the aftermath of World War II and the Cold War, was dominated by a handful of superpowers whose influence extended across politics, economics, and security. Yet, as history moves forward, this familiar framework is giving way to a new reality, one that reflects the complexities, aspirations, and multipolar nature of the 21st century. The fall of the old world order is not a sudden collapse, but a gradual unraveling driven by multiple forces. The dominance of Western powers, which for decades shaped international institutions, trade systems, and security arrangements, is being questioned more openly and assertively by emerging nations. These countries, with their growing economies and strategic importance, no longer accept the roles assigned to them in a hierarchy that often limited their influence. They demand respect, recognition, and a say in the rules that govern global interactions. India's role in this transformation is emblematic of the shift. For many years, India was considered a secondary player on the global stage, a developing nation with vast potential but limited geopolitical sway. However, in recent years, India has asserted itself as a key actor, challenging the established order not through confrontation, but through diplomacy, economic strength, and strategic partnerships. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's late-night call symbolizes this shift, a deliberate step toward reconfiguring alliances and advocating for a system that better reflects contemporary realities. The old world order was built on principles and structures that sometimes failed to adapt to changing circumstances. It relied heavily on rigid alliances, zero-sum thinking, and a concentration of power in a few capitals. While these arrangements provided stability for decades, they also sowed seeds of discontent by excluding many voices and perpetuating inequalities. The growing disparities between nations and within societies have fueled demands for reform and greater inclusivity. One of the most significant aspects of the old order's decline is the rise of a multipolar world. Power is no longer concentrated in one or two superpowers, but distributed among a broader group of influential states and regions. This dispersal creates opportunities for cooperation, but also complexities as different interests and values come into play. The emerging world order is less predictable and more dynamic, requiring new forms of diplomacy and collaboration. Economic globalization, once heralded as a unifying force, is also being re-examined. The trade and financial systems that underpin decades of growth are now challenged by protectionism, regionalism, and calls for fairer distribution of wealth. Nations like India advocate for economic partnerships that respect sovereignty and foster sustainable development, moving away from exploitative models toward equitable growth. Security dynamics have similarly shifted. The Cold War-era logic of blocs and spheres of influence has given way to more fluid and complex threats, including cyber warfare, terrorism, and environmental crises. Traditional military alliances must now adapt to these new realities, incorporating a wider range of actors and issues. India's strategic role in the Indo-Pacific and its growing defense partnerships highlight the evolving nature of global security beyond old paradigms. Culturally and ideologically, the old order's dominance is also being questioned. The universalist claims of certain political models no longer hold the same sway as they once did. Countries emphasize their unique histories, identities, and governance styles, seeking to shape a world that respects diversity rather than enforcing uniformity. India's emphasis on democracy, pluralism, and cultural diplomacy exemplifies this new approach. The fall of the old world order does not mean chaos or decline. Rather, it signifies a necessary transition toward a more balanced and representative global system. This transition is neither smooth nor without conflict. It requires patience, dialogue, and willingness to compromise. Leaders like Modi, through strategic and measured actions, such as that late-night call, play a critical role in navigating this shift by building coalitions that reflect the world's diversity and complexity. In this unfolding era, no single nation can dominate unilaterally. Instead, success depends on cooperation, respect for sovereignty, and shared commitment to solving global challenges. The fall of the old order opens space for emerging powers to contribute meaningfully, ensuring that the future world order is more inclusive, resilient, and just. The decline of the old world order reminds us that history is dynamic and power is transient. What once seemed permanent will give way to new structures and ideas. It challenges us to rethink how nations interact, how power is exercised, and how global governance can evolve. The world is on the cusp of a new chapter, one written not by a few dominant powers, but by a diverse and interconnected community of nations striving for a better future. Diplomacy, at its core, is the art of managing relationships between nations, navigating complex interests, and seeking peaceful resolutions to conflicts. It requires tact, patience, and an understanding of history and culture. But diplomacy alone, when unaccompanied by vision, can become reactive, a way to maintain the status quo rather than to shape a better future. True leadership arises when diplomacy meets vision, a fusion of pragmatic engagement with a forward-thinking mindset that aims not just to manage the present, but to transform what lies ahead. This is precisely the essence of the shift marked by Prime Minister Narendra Modi's late-night call, symbolizing a moment where strategic diplomacy was infused with bold vision. Vision in this context means more than ambition or rhetoric. It represents a deep understanding of emerging global realities and a clear sense of the future one wishes to create. It demands anticipating challenges before they arise, imagining new alliances beyond traditional boundaries, and leveraging opportunities to foster inclusive growth and cooperation. When a leader brings vision to diplomacy, they move beyond transactional relationships and toward transformative partnerships built on shared values and mutual progress. India's approach to global diplomacy exemplifies this blend. Historically, India maintained a policy of non-alignment, carefully balancing relationships without committing fully to any bloc. However, as the global landscape changed, so did India's diplomatic strategy. Modi's leadership reflects a dynamic shift where diplomacy is no longer about merely balancing interests, but about proactively shaping the world order. His late-night call was not simply a routine diplomatic outreach. It was a deliberate and visionary act signaling India's readiness to co-create new frameworks for cooperation that address contemporary global challenges. This meeting of diplomacy and vision manifests in several dimensions. Economically, India envisions partnerships that go beyond mere trade agreements to encompass technology sharing, infrastructure development, and innovation ecosystems. It is a vision of interconnected growth that benefits all parties involved rather than zero-sum competition. Diplomatically, this translates into cultivating relationships that are resilient, flexible, and rooted in trust rather than fear or dominance. In the realm of security, diplomacy combined with vision leads to alliances that emphasize collective stability over unilateral advantage. India's growing role in the Indo-Pacific, its participation in multilateral forums like the Quad, and its strategic partnerships with diverse nations reflect an understanding that global security today requires cooperation to tackle complex threats such as cyber warfare, terrorism, and climate change. Such diplomacy is visionary because it recognizes the interconnectedness of challenges and the necessity of joint solutions. Culturally, the fusion of diplomacy and vision embraces the power of soft influence. India leverages its rich heritage and democratic values to build bridges with the world through cultural exchanges, educational initiatives, and global outreach programs. This cultural diplomacy is not a byproduct but a strategic tool grounded in the vision of a world connected by mutual respect and understanding rather than division. The late-night call is emblematic of this approach. It was a moment where diplomacy was not reactive or routine, but charged with a forward-looking purpose. It represented an opportunity to break free from the constraints of the old world order and envision new possibilities for collaboration. It was an invitation to partners to join India in crafting a global system that is more inclusive, equitable, and responsive to the realities of the 21st century. Vision-driven diplomacy requires courage as well. It means challenging entrenched interests and norms, taking risks, and being willing to lead even when the path is uncertain. Modi's decision to make that call at an unusual hour reflects a willingness to act decisively and boldly, a hallmark of visionary leadership. This synergy between diplomacy and vision is not unique to India, but serves as a model for leadership worldwide. In a time of rapid change and complex challenges, nations must move beyond reactive policies and embrace visionary strategies that anticipate future trends and prioritize sustainable development. The fusion of diplomacy and vision opens the door to innovation in international relations, where cooperation is based on shared goals rather than mere convenience. When diplomacy meets vision, it transforms from a tool of survival to an instrument of progress. It becomes the means by which nations can co-create a future that is peaceful, prosperous, and just. India's emergence on the world stage, marked by moments like Modi's late night call, demonstrates the power of this fusion. It shows us that leadership today requires more than negotiation skills. It demands the imagination to envision new possibilities and the determination to bring them to life. The power of collective will is one of the most profound forces shaping human history. While individual leadership is crucial, it is ultimately the combined determination and unity of a people that drive transformative change. No matter how visionary or decisive a leader might be, their true strength lies in their ability to inspire and mobilize the collective will of a nation. This principle is vividly illustrated in the story of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's late night call, an act not merely of one individual, but a reflection of the aspirations, resilience, and energy of over 1 billion people. Collective will represents more than just agreement or consensus. It embodies shared purpose, common goals, and the readiness to act in unison despite differences. It is a force that empowers societies to overcome challenges, endure hardships, and achieve milestones that might seem impossible when faced alone. India's rise as a global power is rooted in this collective strength, a population that believes in its potential and works relentlessly to realize it. When a leader acts with conviction, their decisions resonate deeply because they echo the hopes and dreams of the people they represent. Modi's late night call was not a spontaneous gesture, but an extension of a collective vision for India's future, a future where the nation is recognized as a key player in shaping global affairs, fostering economic growth, and advancing peace and stability. This call symbolized India's readiness to take responsibility on the world stage, backed by the collective will of its citizens who have embraced progress, innovation, and global engagement. The power of collective will also lies in its ability to unify diverse voices and bridge divides. India is a country of immense cultural, linguistic, and regional diversity. Harnessing the collective will requires leadership that can inspire across these differences, creating a shared identity that transcends individual backgrounds. This unity is not about uniformity, but about embracing diversity within a common framework of values and goals. It is this unity that gives India its strength and legitimacy in global diplomacy. Historically, collective will has been the driving force behind many great movements and transformations. From the struggle for independence to economic reforms and social progress, India's achievements have been fueled by the determination of its people to strive for a better tomorrow. This collective energy empowers leaders to take bold steps that might be challenging or risky, but are necessary for long-term success. The late night call is a continuation of this tradition, an assertion of India's agency and its willingness to shape the future proactively. Collective will serve as a foundation for resilience in the face of global uncertainties, shifting alliances, and complex challenges. A nation's internal cohesion becomes its greatest asset. It enables a country to stand firm, adapt to changing circumstances, and pursue its interests with confidence. Modi's call was a reflection of this resilience, signaling to the world that India is not just reacting to external events, but actively shaping them through the strength of its people's will. This concept extends beyond national borders. The power of collective will can also be seen in international cooperation where nations unite to address common challenges such as climate change, pandemics, and security threats. These global efforts succeed only when countries bring their collective determination to the table, forging partnerships based on mutual commitment. India's leadership in such initiatives highlights its role in fostering global collective will for a sustainable and peaceful future. The power of collective will also highlights the importance of inclusivity and participation. True collective strength emerges when all members of society have a voice and are empowered to contribute. This inclusive approach not only strengthens social fabric but also enhances creativity and problem solving. It reflects a leadership style that values every individual's potential and encourages collective action towards shared goals. The story of Modi's late night call is a testament to the power of collective will. It reminds us that leadership is not an isolated act, but a reflection of the collective aspirations and energy of a people. It teaches us that no single individual, no matter how powerful, can change the world alone. Instead, lasting change comes from harnessing the unity, passion, and resolve of a community working together toward a common vision. In a rapidly changing world, where challenges are complex and interconnected, the power of collective will is more relevant than ever. It is the force that enables nations to rise, societies to progress, and humanity to move forward. As India steps into its role as a global leader, it does so not just through the decisions of its leaders, but through the enduring and dynamic collective will of its people, a force that has the power to change the world order forever.